Hello, good afternoon to you and welcome to Midday Live from the News Hub here at Adisawe, Kanda. I'm Natalie Ford to look at the top stories this afternoon. President Akufo-Addo debunks assertions Ghana's sovereignty would be at stake in the U.S. military cooperation agreement. Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Echiahene urges the Bank of Ghana to publish variables used to compute maiden Ghana reference rate of 16.82%. And on the foreign front, South Africa's former president Jacub Zuma charged with corruption linked to a 1990s arms deal. We've got the details of these stories for you here on Midday Live. You're streaming all across the world on 3news.com. You can also watch us on DSTV channel 279. Let's get started with our very first story this afternoon. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Thursday night addressed the nation on the U.S.-Ghana military cooperation agreement, saying they will not sell the sovereignty of Ghana. Let's take a listen to aspects of the 15-minute speech.
President Nana Akufo-Addo is expected to address the nation this evening at 8 on the military agreement between Ghana and the United States of America. The president
And the president made that address yesterday. We'll bring you that statement, excerpts of the address shortly as we're probing that within the bulletin. But let's turn to some other stories now. Some 350 abused children in all 10 regions of the country would be served justice by the Legal Resources Center, a non-governmental human rights organization. This forms the basis of a 3-year project supported by the European Union.
Broken homes, child delinquency, abuse and neglect are some factors that have resulted in many children abandoning their homes to live on the street. Children's rights in society continue to be trampled upon, affecting their physical and mental development. The abuse includes rape, molestation, touching of private parts, watching pornography, the use of inappropriate language, and dirty jokes. Justice, in many instances, is hardly served to young girls who are defiled by pedophiles. Attempts by the Gender and Social Protection Ministry to correct the situation have yielded little. The launch of the Child Justice Project by the Legal Resources Center is to ensure the creation of an enabling environment for the protection of children. The 3-year project, supported by the European Union, would seek justice delivery for 350 abused children and bridge the gap between legislation and practice within the Ghanaian child justice system.
We can even get 1,000, we can even get 2,000. But we are starting the base with 350, and we are hopeful that at the end of the project, if for nothing at all, we should be able to have 350 children who are being provided with some legal representation, legal services.
Project coordinator at the Legal Resources Center, Clark Noyoru Esquire, said child rights protection is a serious challenge that needs pro bono services.
If a child is in conflict with the law in any of the remotest communities, what a child could do is through a mobile application, send a text. We could be able to link that text to a service. We'll be identifying a lot of lawyers throughout the regions who are willing and able to offer pro bono services. And these will be the people we'll be working with so that when cases do come up, these lawyers will pick up.
Legal Resources Center would need collaboration to execute the task.
Let's return to our top story this afternoon. President Nana Akufo-Addo Thursday night addressed the nation on the U.S.-Ghana military cooperation agreement, saying he will not sell the sovereignty of the nation. Let's take a listen to aspects of the 15-minute speech.
Truth is sacrosanct. So let me state with the clearest affirmation that Ghana has not offered a military base and will not offer a military base to the United States of America. Indeed, the United States of America has not made any request for such consideration. And consistent with our established foreign policy, we will not consider any such request. However, in consideration of the realities of our circumstances and the challenges to peace in our region in our time, we have deemed it prudent to continue the cooperation agreement with the United States of America. It is our firm belief that the agreement will help enhance our defense capability and offer an important layer of support in our common effort to protect the peace in our region. Fellow Ghanaians, let me conclude by saying how outraged I am by the defamatory comments from my political opponents, some of whose patriotism can be so easily questioned, that the sovereignty of this country has been sold by my government and myself. I will never be the president that will compromise or sell the sovereignty of our country. I respect deeply the memory of the great patriots whose sacrifice and toil brought about our independence and freedom. I have stood with you, the Ghanaian people, all my adult life, fighting for our individual and collective rights. Everything I have done since assuming the great honor and privilege of serving you as President of the Republic demonstrates that I remain focused on building a self-reliant, free, prosperous Ghana, which will be able to make her own unique contribution to the growth and development of Africa and the world. Let us concentrate and spend our energies on working together to achieve that goal of a happy and prosperous Ghana, and reject the hypocrisy of the naysayers who led our country into bankruptcy and the worst economic record of modern Ghanaian history. Let us rise above them and build the Ghana of our destiny, the land of freedom, justice, progress, and prosperity. May God bless us all and our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. I thank you.
President Akufo-Addo there, he delivered that address yesterday. Now, him speaking to this issue brought some sense of rest to the minds of many Ghanaians, because many felt like the president was silent on this agreement between the United States and Ghana. But in spite of the fact that the president, like you saw there, said he will not be the president that will sell Ghana, many are still of the view that this agreement goes to benefit the United States and Ghanaians are selling ourselves short. I'm going to bring you the highlights of the Defense Cooperation Agreement and what it actually spells out. Now, Ghana is to grant the U.S. military and civilian personnel privileges, tax exemptions, and immunities. U.S. contractors not liable to pay tax or similar charge. The U.S. contractors are not in the position, are not liable to be paying tax or similar charges in Ghana. Personnel of the U.S. military can either enter or exit Ghana using an ID card or individual travel orders. There are many concerns raised on that issue, that would it be the same for Ghanaians in the United States. Now, the U.S. is to use Ghana as a base to facilitate military training, staging, and deployment of U.S. forces, aircraft refueling, and landing and recovery of aircraft. The issue of a base, there has been some debate in that regard, whether it's a mini base, a small base of a sort, or it's a total base. We'll be probing that further within the bulletin. And Ghana is mandated to provide unimpeded access to and use of agreed facilities and areas to U.S. forces, contractors, and staff. And Ghana is to provide access to and use of its runway, meeting requirements of the U.S. forces. And so this all goes to raise many concerns. Many just feel like it's in the interest of the United States. The justification, parties justify the approval of the document, ensure access to and use of agreed facilities and areas by U.S. forces within Ghana. These are the points of this agreement. Many still feel like it goes to benefit the United States as opposed to Ghana. Now, I'm joined on Skype by Adam Bonar. He's a security analyst, and he's going to help us to understand this issue some more and specifically probe into the address delivered by the president yesterday. Adam, thanks for speaking with us here on Midday Live.
Thank you, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers.
Now, Adam, in your view, from a security standpoint, did the president effectively and adequately address the concerns that were raised by some divides regarding this joint military agreement?
Thank you very much. And once again, good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Well, as for, I will not be able to say he adequately, answered or he adequately put to rest what the concerns have been. I would want to concentrate on, the significance of what took place last night. The importance of what took place last night was for the president, to make a statement on this, and so that if there was anybody who had the slightest doubt in his mind that the president was not in support of the current agreement as it's been ratified in Parliament, that person would have to revise his notes and know that the president is in total support of the agreement. And before the speech, I had actually made it publicly clear that I would be surprised the president was going to make a statement and say we are going to withdraw or we are going to, take a look at the agreement in its entirety. And the simple reason is that it's a convention that all over the world, commanders and chiefs of various countries in this situation, when they decide to speak, they would only speak to reassure those who are in doubt of what is taking place, that, the country is safe, this is how we are working and all that. And so that is what I have to say. And you feel he provided that assurance to Ghanaians that the country is safe? I think so. I think, first of all, he did inform us that it is not a military base. Those of us who are trained in this area are aware it's not a military base. It's not a military base. The airports cannot be a military base. A military base should have houses. A military base should have so many facilities to have a market. It should have everything. And so this does not qualify. It doesn't come close to, a military base. And so it is not. If you want a military base, go to Bema Camp. We have one in Bema Camp. That's a military base. And so I think he adequately answered in that aspect. I think he dealt with it very well. Yes. Now, Adam, the president spoke extremely about transparency. He's been big on transparency. And most often, such agreements are signed with some oath or sort of secrecy. But in this regard, he talks about him being transparent in this agreement and therefore sending it to Parliament. Is this the norm? Is this the appropriate way to go about things from a security standpoint? It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been. It is not the norm. It is totally not the norm. But it has become a law in this country. Since the Getmo 2 issue went to the Supreme Court for advice, the Supreme Court did say international treaties should be sent to Parliament. And so it shouldn't be, and I am against the fact that national security issues would be put in the public domain, because it is one day going to be injurious to the way we have lived peacefully in this country. It is not everything in terms of security that needs to hit the general public. But from that ruling, the Getmo ruling, it meant that all of this agreement would have to go to Parliament. Even previous ones that have been signed somehow would have to go to Parliament, because as far as I'm concerned, reading through the previous ones, they have not been abrogated. They have to go to Parliament for probably ratification. I don't know. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but then I believe that is what should happen. It shouldn't have been, but at the moment it's become a law. And so if the president did mention transparency, I believe it will be the reason why he mentioned it, because now we have to know when you have to sign some of this treaty. People have to know. Now, Adam, briefly, lastly, there are still those who have opposing views to the president, in spite of the fact that the president has spoken and given some form of assurance. Would you expect them to still hold further engagements and to still express their views on this in as much as the president has spoken? Oh, well, I think those who intend to do this, we are at liberty. We are a country. Adam Bonar just rounding up on his points there with regards to us being at liberty and the people being at liberty to express their views on this issue. Adam, grateful. He's a security analyst joining us on that. Let's stay in this area as the Ghana First Patriotic Front, the group that protested against the Ghana-USA Defense Cooperation Agreement, is holding a news conference. I'm joined on the phone line by my colleague, Richard Bright Addo. Hello, Richard. Hi, Richard. Are you there? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. So just to start off, what exactly is the Ghana First Patriotic Front reaction the president addressed yesterday?
All right. So, Natalie, this is a gathering by the progressive political parties. We are not really clear what they want to discuss, but I think that from the information we have heard, it's in response to the president's statement yesterday. And so I have with me here the national organizer of the NDC. Mind you, these are progressive political parties, so they are representatives of political parties here. We have the General Secretary of the NDC here. We have the National Chairman of the PNC, Bernard Mona. We also have the National Chairman of the NDC, Mr. Kofi Potofi, who are all here to...
So they're representatives of all the parties.
Concerns. But I have with me here Mr. Kofi Adams. He is the national organizer of the NDC, who will have to tell us exactly why they have called this press conference. Thank you very much. Mr. Adams, you are here, you are live on TV3. Can you tell us what this press statement contains and exactly what you want the whole nation to hear? Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity and good afternoon to your viewers. We have called this press conference today to respond to the President's address to the nation yesterday to do with the establishment of the U.S. military base in Ghana, which we, the Inter-Party Coalition for National Sovereignty, have been opposed to. And we joined the Ghana First Patriotic Front last week, Wednesday, to demonstrate against the establishment of such a base in this country. Yesterday's address by the President fell short of assuring any Ghanaian of anything good from this President. And so we thought it necessary to meet the press this afternoon to engage them and to let them know and to call the President out to be patriotic and to respond to the concerns of many Ghanaians who feel that this agreement is gone into is not an agreement that is worth a Ghanaian president's signature and must not be executed.
All right, but Mr. Adams, clearly the president yesterday stated that there is no military base in Ghana. And so doesn't it put to rest the issue of a military base?
You see, the president, it looks like the president just spoke without even reading the articles involved in the agreement. If you speak article by article, by the time you end, you have established a base. You don't need to build church walls to say that you are engaging in a worship. If they bring drums, they bring sound system, there are chairs, there are worshippers, and then there's a preacher preaching. You are doing service, you are engaged in service, and that is a church. So you cannot pretend that because it's not stated in the agreement that they are building a church, there wouldn't be any church service going on. So clearly, if you pick article by article, the agreement, and you read it, what is being established is a base, and we insist to. The president, like many other persons, including even General Nono Mensah, former President Rawlings, and the rest have spoken. We think that this is wrong, and the president must be a Ghanaian for once.
All right. So, Natalie.
Right, yes.
Yes. So we'll end it here. You heard the national organizer of the NDC.
Certainly, it's clear that in spite of the address made, they still have reservations concerning the agreement. Now, my colleague Kwabena Edu Jemfi has been gauging public reactions to President Akufo-Addo's speech on the Ghana-United States of America Defense Cooperation Agreement. Let's hear what the public has to say.
A week after some Ghanaians took to the streets of Accra to protest the defense cooperation agreement between Ghana and USA, the president yesterday gave his response to the whole situation, and the experts have spoken. But back to the streets of Accra, I'm finding out what you also think about the president's response.
It's clear-cut. He has made his point. I am convinced. Let us pursue it to its logical conclusion.
I disagree with it. That's all I can say.
Why do you disagree?
If you look at it, wherever you find the Americans, you always find the Al-Qaeda or ISIS and all the others. Look what happened in Kenya some years ago. At that time, the biggest embassy outside America was in Kenya, and they bombed it. Those Kenyans who get the injury, none of them has been compensated. If they are, maybe chicken change. But the Americans who were injured in it, when they take them to America, then compensation that they gave them was something. But how about the Africans?
Okay. So you are not satisfied with the president's response?
No, I'm not.
According to what the president said, means that there is not going to be any U.S.-based military here. Therefore, I think it shouldn't be any fear, or as the opposition is trying to make us to understand. For me, he's the president, and then he signed the agreement, and he knows what it entails. So I think I side with him on the press release that he gave yesterday.
He has said it all. The other governments you signed, and now Akufo-Addo too is coming to sign, and you don't want to agree with it. No, so we are okay. Whatever he said, perfect. I'm 100% in support of him. Whatever he said.
Yes, I can. As a mihu yawo bia wo ma amanfo say gusu edid na tem say so one can say na 2020 say ombetu na free so a lot of things they are saying.
Views there, a few people in the public giving their views on the Ghana-US agreement and the president's address yesterday. Now, a security analyst, Emmanuel Kutin, has criticized President Akufo-Addo for failing to address controversies surrounding the Ghana Defense Cooperation Agreement with the United States after breaking his silence on the issue. The executive director for the Africa Center for Security and Counterterrorism said the president missed the opportunity of ending the rancor that has greeted the controversial US-Ghana military deal. He spoke on New Day.
Given that I am in the Supreme Court for certain provisions of the Constitution to be interpreted, and the president being a Democrat, he would have clothed himself under that to say that, look, this matter is now before the Supreme Court. Let's see what the Supreme Court says about the issue. And using that opportunity to unite Ghanaians, but to pit a section of Ghanaians against Americans, I think is quite unfortunate, and it's not good for our country.
That is what you deduce from the speech.
The speech. And to me, I can never see how a sitting president of another country will want to place the interests of another country over his or her own. Because Nanado, His Excellency, is not the president of a section of Ghanaians. He's the president for all of us. So if there are upheavals over this very agreement, I expected that he shouldn't just wash away those grievances. The bottom line is, we need to educate the general public. What is a military base? Because the government have come every now and then, and the American government, for that matter, to say that they have no intention of establishing one in this country.
You're still watching Midday Live. You're showing live all across the world on 3news.com. We've got some business news coming up for you shortly. Stay with us. The Ghana Revenue Authority has registered over 700 residents in Kumasi for the taxpayer identification number in 3 days. The rush for the TIN registration follows announcement by the GRA that individuals without the 11-digit PIN will not be able to access essential services in some state agencies. Our regional correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar has been speaking with the Assistant Commissioner of the GRA, Samuel Sechi Dodu, in Kumasi.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This implementation process, how are people receiving it?
It's doing well because a lot of people are rushing here to register for their TIN. That's the taxpayer identification number, because they want to access the passport office, they want to access their license at DVLA, they want to go to court, they want to be able to import and clear their goods from the harbour, they want to buy from manufacturers, they just generally want to do access all the services in the country. Because that's what the taxpayer agency to do, to give you a unique number. Nobody will have that number except you. And a time will come when that number will be unified into, with 5 other numbers, will unify into one single ID card, like a national ID card. So you have a national ID card, you have your passport number, you have your social security number, you have the tin, as well as other, there are 6 of it. It will all roll into one single card so that anybody can move, just like it happens in other foreign countries.
You said a number of people are coming in to register. How many people have so far registered from Tuesday to today, Friday?
I believe it will be in hundreds, because as of now you can see about 50 people around. We have set up about 5 tables, and all the tables are full up. And there are officers around them trying to help them to fill it. And it takes 15 to 30 minutes, and you have your certificate. It doesn't take long. For the individual, it's a company that may be a day or 2. But the individual, that very day you get it and go. You only have to come with your passport, your driving license, your voter identification or national identification. Just bring it, and then you have but it should be, or you can take a photocopy of it in color and then bring it, and within a twinkle of an eye, just fill a few sentences and few, then you are done.
How are you sending this message down to the traders? Because I spoke to some of them a couple of days ago, and they don't even know what tin is.
This message has been there from 2001. Ghanaians like last minute, but now the implementation has started. So we are still giving people room. That's why we are doing this Tax and Governance Week. We want to educate people to know much about taxation, so that it will encourage them, and then others to rush in to get their tin, because they will need it wherever they go. And I used to advise that, in fact, even when you are going to court, even if you have a tin, please advise your lawyer to have a tin, because it is possible that you may win the case, and if the other contestant is smart, and you know your lawyer, he knows that your lawyer hasn't got the tin, he use that to throw your case out, because the lawyer himself has not going to be a local standing in court. So the lawyer must have a tin before you go to court. Everybody, advise your doctor, your engineer, architect, put your, in case the building collapses, you're supposed to give evidence, and you're supposed to go to court. What happens if he has got a tin? So that's what's going to happen. So everybody must have a tin. So please, I advise Ghanaians, please come for your tin. Just go to any tax office and you get it easily.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. Sechi Dodu, the Assistant Commissioner at the Ghana Revenue Office. My name is Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3, Kumasi.
Ibrahim Abubakar there. Let's stay on this, as the president of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, has described the process of implementing the tax identification number, known as the TIN law, as absurd and backward. He said the TIN should randomly be generated instead of engaging an interface to fill forms and get an assigned number. Franklin Cudjoe was speaking at a public lecture organized by the KNUST Graduate Students Association of Ghana.
The Ghana Revenue Authority announced that with effect from April 3, 2018, individuals without tax identification number 10 will not be able to access essential services in state agencies. Services at the passport office, courts, ports, DVLA and other state agencies will not be provided for persons without the 10. The move is to address tax evasion by prospective taxpayers and increase revenue generation. But founder and president of Imani Africa, Franklin Cudjoe, wants the GRA to re-strategize the implementation process of the TIN policy. He said the whole tax system should be reviewed to remove stumbling blocks to taxpayers.
There's no way you can generate enough revenue by erecting stumbling blocks in the way of people who want to pay a tax. You don't generate TIN by filling papers and they're going to interfaces on individual and they'll give you some assigned number. It should be randomly generated. Then you can verify at the point of you needing a service. That's how I think should be done. All this business of telling people if you don't have TIN, you can't do business is actually backward. And I call on the president to tell the GRA to immediately take steps to make this randomly generated.
Franklin Cudjoe wants the GRA to make good use of technology to enhance revenue generation. The KNUST Grasak public lecture was part of activities to mark the 25th anniversary of the association. President of KNUST Grasak admonished government to invest in research if it expects the country to attain the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda.
In some other business news this afternoon, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Echiahene is urging the Bank of Ghana to make known the variables used to compute the maiden Ghana reference rate of 16.82%. Speaking to TV3 Business, he said the public deserves to know how the 16.82% figure was arrived at in order to gain a better understanding of the new model of determining interest rates in the country.
The Bank of Ghana announced a new model for calculating interest rates in the country, beginning this month of April. The system, known as the Ghana reference rate, will be replacing the base rate model and will be used as the benchmark interest rate, which commercial banks will use to determine their interest rates. The maiden rate has been set at 16.82%. However, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Echiahene wants the central bank to throw more light on the new model for calculating interest rates in the country. He said in other jurisdictions, such as in Kenya, the reference rate was computed using the policy rate, the average T-bill rate of 2 months, which were divided by simple averages to arrive at the reference rate.
In Ghana, when I saw this in the Bank of Ghana side, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't just believe it. It shouldn't come from Bank of Ghana. It shouldn't. No explanation, no computation, no variables calculation. All that we see, things have been changed. If you go to Kenya, they have a whole space over there that spelled out the professionalism, signed by the governor, dated by the governor. That is information. That is an authentic information.
He said for the reference rate system to work effectively, there is the need for the credit reference bureaus to assess the risk levels of individuals and corporate institutions.
Bank of Ghana is doing with the credit reference bureaus, 4 of them in Ghana. They should be charged to do that work so that we begin to risk rate all customers, corporate individuals, other bodies, so that at one point in time, I know my risk level.
He said the new framework for base rate determination will not necessarily bring down interest rates in the country.
Impression are that this is going to help the SMEs. It is not good. The SMEs are most people who are highly risk and that they have to pay. You can't charge Unilever the same price as an SME in my village. We need to look at the variables that goes in and then see how best we can improve the risk rating.
Now, prices of petroleum products are likely to go up by 2% at the local pumps in the first pricing window, which will end April 15. The Institute for Energy Security projects fuel prices could go up in the second window if government does not intervene to stabilize prices.
In the month of March, prices were fairly stable at the local pumps.
In March, the first pricing window, we were supposed to see some price reductions. It didn't happen. That's unfortunate. But the second pricing window, prices were fairly stable for consumers. So, yeah, that's the good news for the past window. But in April, definitely we'll be paying more for fuel.
The 3 main factors for pricing petroleum products under the deregulated regime are crude prices on the world market, existing taxes and levies, and the foreign exchange rates. Principal Research Analyst of the Petroleum Unit at the Institute for Energy Security, Richmond Roxon, explains the pricing factors warrant an increase in prices at the local pumps.
Crude oil prices went up slightly on the international market. It's averaging around $67 per barrel. For finished products, gasoline went up by 3%. Gas oil, what we normally call diesel, also went up by some 2%. Our CD was fairly stable, even though it depreciated slightly within the period. So on average, we're expecting that prices will go up at the various oil marketing companies between 1 and 2%, depending on how competition will go within the period.
Currently, on the average, petrol sells at 4 cedis 51 pesos, while diesel is sold at 4 cedis 49 pesos. Should fuel prices go up by 1 to 2%, the new prices could be on the average of 4 cedis 57 pesos for petrol and 4 cedis 56 pesos for diesel. The Institute for Energy Security further indicated without government intervention through the National Petroleum Authority, there will be further increases in the second pricing window, which starts on April 16th.
In the second pricing window for April as well, even though all the figures are not out yet, so far we've had prices going up on the international market, and if we don't find any intervention from the National Petroleum Authority using the price stabilization and recovery levy, whether for the first or second pricing window, definitely consumers will be paying more for the first and second pricing window in April.
And that rounds up the business news on Midday Live this afternoon. Visit our website. It's 3news.com. We've got some more business stories on there. But on to education this afternoon. Final year students of the Takoradi Technical Institute in the Western region are agitating over a directive by the school authorities for the payment of full fees in spite of a 50% reduction. The WASI practical starts on Monday, April 9, 2018, and the school is demanding the students pay their full fees before they're given their index numbers for the examination.
We are currently on the campus of the Takoradi Technical Institute. Now, earlier in the day, scores of students from the Takoradi Technical Institute came to our studios and complained that the authorities are asking them to pay unapproved fees. Now, before today, they heard on the airwaves that government has announced a 50% reduction in their fees.
Just today that they announced that TTI is not among. But we know we are all final years. Then we said, no, this will not happen here. They said on the 10th, we are going to start our final practicals. But they are telling us if you buy from today to Monday, then you haven't finished paying that 140 cedis. You are not going to get your index number to do your practicals. If you don't do that practicals too, there's no need to do the written side because immediately you fill the practicals, you have filled all.
We came to the school and we met with the vice principal in charge of academics, Alfred Davis, and he tells us that indeed there's such a directive, but unfortunately the directive covers only boarding schools. Takoradi Technical Institute is not a boarding school, it's a day school, so the directive will not cover students here. But this was not communicated well to the student. That gave rise to the agitations that we are seeing.
Since from 1 year to school ID, one coin was in a what discount. But I students in this school is registration.
We have paid for our registration, but until now, we have not received our index numbers, whilst WASI is ongoing.
Whereby we start to WASI, we start to Naptes and second does number.
Bill now, the man, every time, this time, WASI, quarter.
Every term, we are billed for quarter. We have been paying till now, but we have never had any lessons on cultural studies.
Now I look at that, what bill is capable.
But as you can see in the background, the authorities are now trying to explain to them the nitty-gritties of the 50% reduction. Eric Heweje, TV3 News, TTI, Takoradi.
We'll bring you more on that subsequently, but let's now take a look at our MTN Vision reports this afternoon as Tadi Clement, our citizen journalist, brings this report from the Nkawie market in the Ashanti region.
I am standing just in the heart of Nkawie market, and citizens and market women and buyers come here to buy a lot from the market. You can just imagine what implications some of these things would have on their life. Look at waste all over the market. Waste that has been left for days is left here in the heart of the Nkawie market. This, I think, is a wake-up call to the assembly of the Atwimanwabeja district to come and then clear this waste from the market. This is a citizen report from your citizen journalist, Tadi Clement.
Tadi's report there, rather worrying situation in the market. Remember, you can also send your video report via WhatsApp number 055-1433-044. That's 055-1433-044. You're still watching Midday Live. Stay with us as Thierry Nyan brings us sports news shortly. From sports, let's now turn to some news on the international front. South Africa's former president, Jacub Zuma, has been charged with corruption linked to a 1990s arms deal. After the 75-year-old's 15-minute appearance at the High Court in Durban on Friday morning, the case was adjourned until June 8. President Zuma faces 16 counts of corruption, racketeering, fraud and money laundering, which dogged his presidency and were reinstated in 2016. Mr. Zuma, who was forced out of office in February, denies any wrongdoing. His supporters descended on the city to rally for him, while his critics think court action is long overdue. Mr. Zuma smiled and gave a thumbs up to the crowd as he arrived at the court in his home province on Friday. Many South Africans see an era of impunity coming to an end with the charges against Jacub Zuma. Mr. Zuma and his legal team insist the charges are trumped up and politically motivated. On to some other international news. U.S. President Donald Trump has instructed officials to consider a further $100 billion of tariffs against China in an escalation of a tense trade standoff. These would be in addition to the $50 billion worth of U.S. tariffs already proposed on hundreds of Chinese imports. China's Ministry of Commerce responded, saying China would not hesitate to pay any price to defend its interest. Tit-for-tat trade moves have unsettled global markets in recent weeks. The latest U.S. proposal came after China threatened tariffs on 106 key U.S. products. In response to Mr. Trump's latest announcement, Foreign Minister Wang Yi said China and the United States, as two world powers, should treat each other on a basis of equality and with respect. China's Ministry of Commerce spokesman Gao Feng said China does not want to fight, but is not afraid to fight a trade war either. Analysts have warned of the risk of a full-blown trade war for the global economy and markets, and believe ongoing behind-the-scenes negotiations between the two giants are crucial. Well, that trade war there. You can get some more on our website. It's 3news.com. Next is some entertainment news. In entertainment news this afternoon, Juliet Nana Ekiamensa, otherwise known as Adum, from Ghana's Most Beautiful fame, has been speaking to TV3 Entertainment on her role in Sadia. She believes true talent sells itself.
Oh, sir. The Bunafo Region's representative in the 2017 edition of Ghana's Most Beautiful reality show, Adum, looks promising in her current role in Sadia, TV3's local drama series.
Carol is this village champion, let me just put it that way, a village champion who is very desperate to leave the village, to go outside and then live a very good life. And going with me, I can't go alone. I have to go with my friend Sadia.
Amina, is this how Accra is big? Hey! I have never seen this in my entire life. I've never seen it before. Hey! When I got down, I kept asking myself, is this Accra? Or is this Ghana?
City. You know, people think I'm a bad influence to Sadia, but no. She's my friend. She's an orphan. But she has to fight for herself when I'm not there. So there are certain things that I tell her, not because I'm trying to influence her life in a negative way. On GMB, I think we have this acting, but I didn't know I could do commercial. Is it commercial, like commercial act? I could do it big like this. So Sadia has given me the opportunity to bring out what I have. Sometimes I walk out and I get people tell me that, hey, you're doing well. And it's my first time, so I don't know how it's done. So when I get people telling me that, oh, you're doing...
She advises all young people who have a desire in acting to work hard at it. She believes talent coupled with the blessings of God is the right tool every actor or actress needs.
Talent. You have that talent that, or it's the will of God for you to act. Trust me, it will come to pass. But if it's not, just don't force it.
Really? Please sit down.
pastor. Your friend me Carol.
Okay.
Nyesem be how I dream. Me say, Carol from do on ma. Anka, odi ama me me isu kakra.
Do I know you?
Oh, no.
Well, Juliet certainly showing her talents there on Sadia. You can watch Sadia every Monday and Tuesday at 8 p.m. on TV3. In some other entertainment news, the clock is ticking as Ghana awaits the biggest festival of the music industry, VGMA. In anticipation of the great night, debates on who wins what in the 25 competitive categories are heightened. Well, let's find out from music enthusiast who wins the best new artist of the year.
There's some triplets in there. Eugene, Kitty, and Kim Promise. They're like triplets. So, like splitting them, it's quite tricky. Personally, I think Kim Promise deserves it.
Oh yeah, Kwame Eugene. I love Kwame Eugene. And I feel like he's going to be the new artist of the year. The guy is damn talented and then I like him. His songs are very beautiful.
I think Kim Promise will win. Yeah, his voice and then how he sings, yes. That's why I like him.
So Kwame Eugene is very good in terms of his dictions and even the flow. It just attracts we, the ladies especially. So
I prefer Kwame Eugene because Kwame Eugene's songs, you see, Kiddy doesn't have a lot of songs, you understand? So you all go for Kwame Eugene's songs because Kwame Eugene's songs became a hit before Kiddy and all those people. So I think Kwame Eugene's
confusion, the cause and confusion. So my baby forgetting my India.
Or you can follow with the developments on the VGMAs on TV3 and our social media sites. That's TV3 Ghana on Facebook as well as 3news.com. It's still live here on Midday News, and as we round up, let's take a second look at the top stories. President Akufo-Addo debunks assertions Ghana's sovereignty will be at stake in the U.S. military cooperation agreement. Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Echiahene urges the Bank of Ghana to publish variables used to compute maiden Ghana reference rate of 16.82%. And on the foreign front, South Africa's former president Jacub Zuma charged with corruption linked to a 1990s arms deal. And that's how we round up Midday Live this afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, you can have some more news that's on our website. It's 3news.com. I'm Natalie Fort. Enjoy the rest of your day.